So this is all about the magic number that you need to know to decode your fretboard. But first, what I've got to do is I have to get into how the fretboard is designed, because how the fretboard is laid out is really significant. If you've seen the videos on my channel, you've seen the one where I have battle ends and down goes Charles's father. So I'm going to end up switching to this here. I'm just going to switch to this here, guys, because the pen and paper is coming out. But this is the lesson I'm referring to. And if you have the book, then you can see at the bottom, there's the link to the lesson there. It's page 12 and it's rickysguitar.com/lesson 7. So if you go to that, yeah, that's the video. That's the video that this is what I'm going to talk about here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand on this, because this is why this is lessons from the book. And it's important that you get this. So I'm going to build up and I'm going to give you a lot of information, guys. Now, here's the beauty of YouTube and any video format is you can rewind it. You can watch it again. Yeah, you don't have to remember it all in your head. Yeah. Now, we'll be taking this live and we will be splitting it up as well. So, but without further ado, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get into something that I observed and I noticed. And if you see that video that it is to do with this one, yeah, the video that this one is, a lot of people don't understand what's going on here. Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand why this is highlighted blue. Yeah, and I'm going to show you exactly why that is important in today's lesson. So let me just fill this out here. E, A, D, G, B, E. Right? So we need to understand why the guitar is tuned this way. And if you've seen my video a few weeks back, you'll understand that the way I think of the guitar, I think of it as a 5-stringed instrument. We have bead G. And what happens is the G and the B string, it disrupts the tuning. We get that kink in the tuning between the G and the B string, which means we have to compensate by coming up 1 fret, which means that we lose this sequence of fourths. Yeah, because this is what it is. And I'll just go over this just for the people who may not have come across this before, who are new to the channel. And as a refresher, the more times you look at something, the better. So if we look at the distance between an E and an A, we get E, F, G, and we get to A. Now that distance there is called a fourth. So the guitar is tuned in fourths. And this is the way to think of the guitar. It is tuned in fourths. You need to understand this, and that you will, as we go through this, you will understand and see this is really super pertinent. So between E and A, that's a fourth. A and D, A, B, C, D. Right, okay, look, we can see we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. We've counted up 4 notes there. So that's another fourth. Okay, great. Let's do it from D to G. D, E, F, G. Brilliant. We can see that it's done that again there. So between those, we have that going on. But let's look at G to B. So let's G, musical alphabet ends. We have to go back to A. We go to A and then B. Wow, this is different. This is a third. So this is a distance of a third. Now, you may have seen me do this before, but if we wanted to compensate for that, what we have to do is we have to add 1 fret when we move between the G and the B string. So if I wanted that to remain, to be a fourth, to get to a C, look, I'll just do that underneath there, G, A, B, C, to get a fourth, then what I have to do is I have to compensate by going up 1 fret to get that C there. Hopefully you can see that. And then what happens is, if I go across again, if I go from a C, D, E, F, then you can see that would be where my F would be. Hopefully that makes sense there, guys. And then what that ends up doing is that helps me to plot out where all the other notes are going to be. So I have an understanding of where this kink is going to affect everything. But as you can see, like I say, it goes to a kink there, goes to a third. But going from the B string, let's go from the B string. We go B, C, D, and you can see we're back on track for a fourth again. So That's that little disruption there. That little just alters things. You have to compensate by 1 fret. And what happened was when I realised that this compensation, then there was something happening here. I saw this E A D G C F, and I saw that there E A D G C F. First, one of the first things that I saw was, hang on, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, well, these notes, there's no sharps or flats in them. There's no sharps or flats. And I'm really much of a fan of finding the notes using the natural notes to find sharps or flats. If you've ever seen those fretboards that have got all the sharps and the flats written out on them, there's too much information. There's too much information. So what I did was I thought to myself, well, C, D. Actually, hang on, let's go from here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Hang on, I'm back to C again. Well, that's odd, because if you look up here, those notes there, those notes are the C major scale. If you leave off the sharps and the flats, which are confusing you, you'll be able to see that the fretboard is essentially tuned to C major. And I thought, well, how can it be C major? How can it be C major when it starts on an E? Well, you know, the other week I talked about synonyms, and I talked about, you know, how this C major here, I can turn these into Roman numerals. If I turn these into chords using my Roman numerals, I put those underneath there like that. I have to amend them. That's a D minor. That's going to be an E minor. F and G is fine. A minor and B diminished. You can see I discover all my chords. So that is exactly the same as that. D minor is the same as this. Yeah. So the same as chord 2 there. And then I was thinking to myself, well, you know, if you look at that E, A and D, well, E is a minor, A is a minor, and D is a minor. Hang on, there's my 3 minors. My 3 minors are taken care of in the E, A and D string. And then I thought, okay, well, if it was tuned to fourths properly, like it, you know, it kind of is, but that kink in the tuning disrupts it, you can see that what we've got is we've got G, C and F here. G, C and F. Hang on, those are my majors. So I thought, hang on, there's something in this. There's something in this. And this is where we're going to lead down I'm going to lead you down the path with this one. So we're going to go A, B. Let me just fill, actually, do you know, do I need to fill this out? Do I have an already lovely filled out one underneath? I think I might do, you know. Yes, I do. Right, so what I did, right, we can plot out all those notes. These are all the notes of the C major scale, A minor scale, yeah, the modal varieties. So like I was saying here with chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, and chord 7. When I was talking about synonyms the other week, this is, it might be a stretch to fit this in, Ionian. Yeah? This one here is Dorian. This one here is Phrygian. This one here is Lydian. This one here is Mixolydian. This one here is Aeolian. This one here is Locrian. So we've got that there. Now the thing is, Ionian is also known as your major, and Aeolian is also known as your minor, which is interesting. We'll come back to that. But I start to think to myself, okay, well, if that's the case, that these here are all, these are all essentially root notes for the chords in C major. They're the ingredient notes for the C major scale, so they're going to be the root notes for all the chords as well. So let's plot it out. Let's look at how this thing works. Now, there are a couple of rules that go along with this. And the main rules that we need to understand is where the compensations happen. Because the compensation for the tuning, for the knackered fourth tuning, basically. It's all tuning fourths apart from that G to B string. Yeah. So because it's knackered, what we've got to do is we've got to compensate for the G to B. And we do that by going, we add 1 fret. Yeah, we go up 1 fret. This is up. Yeah, that's up. This is down because it's pitch. And if you think about it, fret-wise, it's numbers as well. Look at those numbers. Those are going down. These are numbers are going up. So what we have to do is we have to add that. Right, okay, that's great. Let's just follow this chain. And what I thought, well, hang on. I noticed this. And you'll notice this now. Hopefully you're noticing this here. At the 0 fret, we get E, A, D, G, B, E. And then at the 12th fret, we get that there. Hang on. We've got a repeat there. So it means that basically all we need to memorize is the first 12 frets. And we have, by default, learned the next 12 frets, which take us up into the dusty end of the neck. Yes, so here's where the gigs are. These are the gigs that you play. And this is where the ego plays. This is, all the good stuff. Up that end there. So when you spotted that, but then importantly, what I spotted was I needed a halfway point. That's great, 0. 12 is great. But there's a halfway point where things start to become inefficient because you don't want to get into this habit of saying, right, okay, I need this note here and starting on the head note and counting up from D, E, F, G. But no, it's folly. You don't need that. So you need somewhere quicker. And the first place that I kind of thought to myself as I saw this, bead. Now, I'd learned at music college that the order of the flats, goes like this. It goes battle ends and down goes Charles's father. Yeah, if you've watched that video, this is why I put that up there. Yeah, because it's really important. This is the order of the flats as you put them on the key signatures. And essentially, if you look at that, going from a B to an E, well, like I drew out before, is that under here? Like I drew out before, B to an E, that's a fourth. So these are all fourths. These are all fourths in the key of C major. Yeah, it's not going through separate keys. It's not going through any different keys. It's not the circle of fourths or the circle of fifths in that respect. This is just it just tells you which flats you add to a key signature. Yeah. But also, beautifully, if we go this way, and I'll do another lesson on this. This tells you the order that you put your sharps on your key signature. F sharp. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. Can you see it's the same story, but I say it backwards. Battle ends and down goes Charles's father. Okay. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. Yeah, my harmony teacher taught me that and it's always stuck. And I thought I still don't know the name of what that is. It's not a palindrome. I've asked English professors and they can't explain it. You know how race car is race car backwards? If anybody knows that answer, then I would gladly hear your explanation of what it is. What would that be called? Right, so battle ends and down goes Charles's father. And I realised then battle ends and down goes Charles's, not trousers. Down goes Charles's. And I thought, well, does this correlate on the fretboard? And because the fretboard's tuned in fourths and these are a fourth apart, then it should do. I will add this. When we move from F to B, right, what happens is the distance between F to B, that is a sharp 4. And this is where we get that compensation. It comes in again later on, so you'll notice this. So the sharp 4, it doesn't go straight across, it goes up 1, and you'll see that. You'll start to see when you go from F to B, that's called a sharp 4. Yeah. So we could take any part of this and we'd go, look, let's start here. Battle ends and down goes. Battle ends and down goes. You see? So it just starts there. Notice how this angles off. You can see that compensation. Battle ends and. See? Battle ends and down. Battle ends and down. So it just keeps, it's a recurring pattern. And then I realised that actually this is why the guitar is a 5-stringed instrument, because I've got ends and down goes Charles's father. Ends and down goes Charles's father. And in fact, look, battle ends begins there. Battle ends begins there. We've got ends and down goes Charles's father. So the beautiful thing that is happening here is showing us how and where the C major scale is. And if we think of that, C major. But it will also tell us where all of these other guys are as well. It's where all these other ones are as well. So, battle. Some of these are what I call orphaned. I call that's just Charles's father. You'll see that there. Down goes Charles's father. Right? Right, so let me just tackle some of these kinks in the tuning as well. So here we've got an orphaned F there. And this is going to show you, when we go from an F to a B, can you see that what we have to do, yeah, we have to add 1. We move to it from an F to a B, we have to add 1 fret. So we're adding 1 fret there. F to a B, look, goes Charles's father. So we're continuing around that, goes Charles's father. Then we've got and down goes Charles's father. Could you see how it all plots out there, guys? Here's where it gets tricky. Right? And I'll use a different colour just to show you this, just to show you where the F to the B, what happens with that transition that you have to do, that compensation. F to the B there, F to the B. I sound like a rapper. F to the B. F to the B there. But there's a really awkward one that we have to pay attention to. That one's easier there. And that is crossing over both of them. So going from the F to the B, we have to add a fret. Going from the G to the B string, we have to add a fret. When we have both of those things happening, we have to add 2 frets. F to B. There, can you see? So it goes up 2 frets. It goes up a whole step. So that's what I call the double compensation that happens there. Okay, guys. Hopefully that makes sense. You know, you will be able to see. You'll be able to start to see this, and you think, all right, okay. Now, what about sharps and flats, Ricky? Well, you know what you do is you use them relatively. If I said to you to find fret 6, probably what you would do is you would look at fret 5 and then find fret 6 based on where the dots are on the neck of the guitar. And you want to do a similar thing when you use this idea here. If you're at the 7th fret and somebody says a B flat, then you find the B and then you find the B flat. You get really fast at it the more you apply that. And then what happens is you get to the point where you just know that it's a B flat. Yeah, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take some questions. But bear in mind that this is part of the puzzle that what I'm going to do, that what we're getting into today. But I'm going to show you another cool way of using this so that we can dig into these modes as well as showing you a cool way to learn the notes on your fretboard as well. Another method, which is another lesson in the book. So James, if we pull up chat now. So, right, Stephen, you're saying it's not a palindrome. Yes, someone called it as, if you spell the word palindrome, it's a mnemonic palindrome, palindromic mnemonic. It's a crazy word. I'm just seeing if I can see the chat here. Can I see the chat? Hey, yeah, I can see the chat and I can scroll down it as well. So that's what's going on here. Okay. So we've got this. So any questions? Pop some questions in there if you have any questions about this here, guys. Yeah, just so that I can answer them for you. And then once they're answered, then it's like we can move on to the next one. Yes, so Steve, you said it doesn't read backwards, but here's the thing, right? And I think people remember stories, yeah? People remember stories. And the way I see it is battle ends and down goes Charles's father. And in my mind, I'm imagining a battle ending, yeah. And back in the day, it's like a medieval thing. It's swords, it's chainmail, it's muddy fields and horses and flags and all that sort of stuff. And the way I imagine it is that you've got a kid at the side, because when these soldiers, jobbing soldiers, used to go out and fight these battles, the family would come along, because if they won, then they'd go and grab the swords and the loot off the dead bodies. They pick the bodies, the spoils of war. So the thing is, Charles is a kid who's at the sidelines, and his father, battle ends and down goes Charles's father. He unfortunately dies on the battlefield. But if we say the same mnemonic backwards, Father Charles goes down and ends battle. I always imagine a priest at the other end of the battlefield saying, "Stop! The king has surrendered," or "the war is over." And in the distance, you just see Charles's father falling because somebody's just stuck a sword in him. I hope that makes... I don't know if that's just very macabre, you know, but for me, it's one of those kind of ways of remembering it, you know. So, okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully. But look, you need to remember that. I will do a separate lesson on that, and I have done a lesson on the key, how to apply this to key signatures. And I think James has a link to that to share in the comments there. So we will look at that. Okay, so moving on. We're already 28 minutes in, guys. So we're going to move on to the next section. And if you have the book, yeah, we're going to tie this into this. So there's another way of seeing this. We're going to look at this. Yeah, we're going to look at this one here. This is page 13. Yes. And this is lesson 8. And what this is using this idea here, yeah, I started thinking to myself, well, the fretboard is in C major. But is it in C major? Because I was thinking to myself, okay, well, if I get my guitar, if it was in C major, then surely that note would be C. But it isn't. So you can't think like that. It's in an E. And if we think about the key of C major, then what happens is we think, all right, well, what is E relative to the C major? And that is the third note in C major, which would be the root note of chord 3. Chord 3, as a synonym, as its modal name, is Phrygian. And if I play the C major scale from the E, yeah, I get the Phrygian mode. Put some a Phrygian cadence on there like that. Yeah? Hopefully that makes sense. Well, let me show you how this works, guys, because we're going to be able to use this to plot out the whole of the fretboard. I'm going to pull up another sheet now. Right, so we've got this. We're still remembering all this information here. We're still remembering this information. Let's pull this one up here. And we don't want that one. We want this one here. So I thought to myself, the fretboard must be organised. It seems to be organised in some sort of fashion. So if I come from the E here and I go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. There's my Phrygian. But I thought, well, hang on. You know, I know a lot of box patterns. I know box patterns. So let's go for the box pattern idea and just carry that on. Well, there's going to be the F. And then there's the G, A. And then I can take this note here, B, C, D, E, F. How cool is that? That's Phrygian. I get my Phrygian mode. I did explain in this lesson here. This lesson here, a stupid story about the musical alphabet backwards. The thing is, most musical phrases, a lot of musical phrases are descending melodically. They descend. They're not always rising. So, you know, how we do do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, it's actually more melodies are backwards. So this is the Phrygian mode, which is chord 3. Yeah, and in this instance, just happens to be E minor. If we look at that, I'll just put the key here. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and B diminished. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we get chord 7 there. Right, okay, so what we've done is we've got one of the minor modes. Phrygian is a minor mode because it has this distance from this root note here. We've got a flat second and then we've got a flat third. That's the Phrygian mode. It goes root, flat second, flat third. If you want to know the formulas, this is like the phone numbers that you need to remember for the pizza shop. All right, okay. So fourth, we've got a fifth, we've got a flat 6, and then we get a flat 7 as well. So those are that's the way we spell the Phrygian mode. We need to memorize this stuff, like I explained the other week about memorizing these synonyms, this synonym way of thinking. Yeah, so that's 3 taken care of. So, okay, well, that's cool, Ricky. But then I thought, right, okay, well, what about the rest of it? That's Phrygian. There's another 2 minor modes. Let's have a look. Let's look at this one. A minor. Well, look, here, if I go here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I've got another mode there, but the cool thing is I can use this to be able to memorize the notes on the fretboard. Yeah? So go like, I can get my guitar. I get my guitar and go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Say it as you play it. Yeah? F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. Does it make sense? So you say it as you're playing it, and then by saying it, you are labeling the sound and where you're putting your fingers. You'll know where everything goes. So here, this is Aeolian. A. I know when I say A, it sounds like I'm saying hey or something. Aeolian. Aeolian. Let me put that in there. The Aeolian mode. But this is also known as the relative. It's also known as the natural minor. And in the major key, it would also be known as the relative minor. So the Aeolian, the natural minor, and the relative minor, those are just synonyms for the same thing. They're the same thing. Right? And if we look, we can work out the formula. Root, major second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat 6, flat 7. And then we're back to the root note again. So that is the formula for that. Oh, that's cool. Right, we've got one more minor to go at here. There's one more minor that we want to tackle. What colour am I going to have? Let's have this. I like this peachy colour. It's a nice peachy colour. The last one we need is D minor. D minor in C major is chord 2. Chord 2 is Dorian. So we're going to have the Dorian mode here, and this is going to be on D. So D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. We've covered all the natural notes, guys. We have covered all the natural notes on the fretboard. Have we frozen? All right, okay. It looked like we'd frozen for a moment. Let's have a look. So the Aeolian. Yes, so we're on the Dorian mode here. The Dorian mode, if you want to play jazzy stuff, this is the one. Yeah, so the Dorian, let's look at the formula for this. This is going to be a root, it's got a second, it's got a flat third, it's got a fourth, it's got a fifth, it's got a major six, and it's got a flat seven. So that's the difference. You can see the subtle differences between these scales. And that gives you your minor modes. Those are your minor modes. I thought that was pretty cool myself. And then I was thinking to myself, well, hang on, what about the other modes? And I knew, and you'll know this, hopefully if you've seen this, this will make sense. When I've talked about playing the minor pentatonic here, the root note's there, isn't it? But if I start with my pinky on there and play exactly the same pattern, not starting from the F sharp, I get the major pentatonic. And I'm playing exactly the same scale. So I thought to myself, well, can I do this with this here? And then I realised, if I lose these two notes here on the A minor, and I start on the C here, then I just get my C major scale. 2 octaves of C major scale. So now I've got the C major scale, which is Ionian, modally. So modally, that's Ionian. I thought, oh, hang on, does it work with others? And yes, it does. And what happened was, I also thought to myself, with this, it's like Aeolian. Well, Aeolian is the relative minor to the major. So the major and the minor, there's a duality. They're opposite sides of the same coin. Well, let's think about this with this as well. So if I could take the first 2 notes off, can I get a mode out of this? So if I get rid of these 2 modes here, these 2 notes here, sorry, E and F, and I start on the G, well, the G would be chord 5, and that would be Mixolydian. So here I get Phrygian, and I get my Mixolydian. And I think of these as being opposite to each other sonically. Phrygian and Mixolydian. There's a whole slew of stuff that I'm going to get into in 2024 about how Phrygian can act as the dominant, which is chord 5. If you think about it, if you take an E minor and you put a flat 7 on it, it becomes a dominant chord with a funky root note, right? If you want to think of it in that way. But here's the thing. I could take that now and go, oh, hang on. So this is my E Phrygian. But if I ditch the first 2 notes and start on the G, then there's my Mixolydian. Put a bluesy chord on it. Put that dominant chord 5 on that, yeah? So you can hear how that works with that one there. Right, back to this business here. That's Phrygian and that's Mixolydian. How's it going to work with this one? So the 2 notes. Let's get rid of the bottom 2 notes of that there. And we end up left with this F here. Well, F here is going to be chord 4. So we've already established that we've got Dorian. And then what we can do is with that chord 4, that's going to be Lydian. So starting on this here, if for instance we've got this F major 7 here, you can hear that that's what's going on there. Now these patterns shift around as well, guys. These patterns shift around because of the way the guitar is tuned. But the cool thing I think with this is, one, you get a way of practicing your notes. This is the easiest one here, this position here. This one here, because it starts at A at the 5th fret. So I go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Hopefully that makes sense. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Say it backwards as well. So to do it forwards, do it backwards. If it's too fast for you doing it that way, then a good way to do it would be to play each note 4 times. C, 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 B, 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 A, 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 G, 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 G. That's good solid practice stuff. Good solid practice stuff that you need to do. Right? So that got me thinking then, when I was looking at that. I was thinking, these modes are everywhere. These modes are everywhere on the fretboard. So this is a really cool way of dividing up your fretboard into the natural notes. And you can see here that essentially, you know, if the guitar is kind of tuned to a funky E minor 11. Yeah, it's an E minor 11 chord. It's not a nice one. If you play the open strings, it's not nice. But that means it's related to chord 3. So we can relate other parts to other chords within the key of C major. So what I'm saying to you is the guitar is tuned to C major if you stick to the natural notes. And it's also a 5-stringed instrument, which is bizarre. I know it's not something that you're going to come across regular. So that's this one here. So this part of the story that I want to get into, though, is how these numbers then changed for me, how they changed everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the sheet that we had here. I've got this one here. Let me just answer some questions and we'll see how everybody gets on with that. And I'll pull this back up, yeah, just in case anybody's... Who came up with the names of the... I think they're just... do you know, I don't know... who really came up with the names of the modes. They're all names of Greek tribes, aren't they? And it's to do with architecture and stuff like that. It isn't a 5-string bass Telefunken, right? So, but hopefully you can see there is a structure for them. So you can see the Pythagoreans. There you go. They were mental. Pythagoras. He was a bit of a nutter, apparently. But he died a horrible death, apparently. So let's so you remember Phrygian, Aeolian, Dorian, pad. Yes, so your pad going. I like that. Any way we can use to connect this little mnemonics, we create them, and we help to connect these patterns, guys. Yeah. So you play a pad going down the neck, and then you've got this a knackered nutter. That sounds like me, to be fair. So yes, he was a knackered nutter. So hopefully that makes sense. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna get into the magic number. Does this all make sense, guys? Just before we move on, let's have some questions in here. I will be answering questions at the end as well, guys. So let's see. Yeah, it did freeze up for a moment, but we can deal with it. Yeah, we're all good, I think, by the looks of it. Is it within a four frets? Well, it can be any. It can be any distance. What I've got coming up is a great lesson on 3-note per string stuff. 3-note per string modes specifically. It was one of the first things that I learned, because I was a big Michael Schenker fan when I first started learning guitar. So, and Paul Gilbert and that kind of stuff. So when next year, beginning of next year, I'll be doing something with this. Generally, the way I see guitar, though, is we're looking for a maximum. We're looking for a kind of a hot spot of 3 frets. This is the way I visualize it. And then one fret above and one fret below as kind of like the distance that we're looking for things to be economical for us to find. We should be able to find anything within that distance. Any chord, any scale, any key. Yeah, so finding that stuff. You might have to veer out another fret every now and then to do so. But generally, modes, they can be played with 3-note per string patterns. You can even play them as 4-note per string patterns. It's up to you how you want to organize them. And I think the thing is people see these C modes and scales differently. Everybody sees things just a little bit differently. It's hard to know. It's like someone saying, yeah, that's green. But how do they know it's green? And how do you know that your green and their green is the same thing? A 5-fret span, sometimes 6. Yeah, you probably do a mixture of both, you know. But generally, personally, I like to keep things neat and tidy. I like this mix of 3-note per strings and 2-note per string box pattern ideas because they blend well with caged, you know, and I find them a little bit easier. But if I'm doing a legato idea, I'll do 3-note per string because they connect easier. Or if I'm doing economy picking, because of the way economy picking works, I will be using, you know, connecting the strings with one stroke, then 3-note per string works a little bit easier as well. Yeah? That's a whole different thing. That's a Frank Gambale lesson. You know, you check out Frank Gambale and about how he crosses strings, and that'll give you an idea of how that works. But that's an aside, guys. That's an aside. We'll put... you're feeling a bit green as an emotion here. Don't feel green. Yeah, it's like if this is above your head, don't worry. Yeah, you keep coming back to it and you'll get it. You get it eventually. Roll it back. Yeah, it's always going to be here is this information. It's always going to be up on YouTube unless YouTube shuts down. You know, then it's always going to be here for you. The videos are going to be here. Yeah. Okay, I think that's the best way to look at it. So, we take this here. We're going to go from this business here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the thing that I came up with. That I thought, okay, right. We've got all these chords. I printed some spare ones off there in case I messed everything up. So we've got this matrix here. And this is what I call these are matrices. They are the way I see these things. Okay. Let me get my notes. Right. So what we do know we have with this is we have these synonyms. So we could have C, D, E minor. Hang on. Put D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and B diminished. A bit tight on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and chord 7. Yeah, so we have all 7 chords there, and these each we are going to equate a synonym name to them. So Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian and Locrian. So we've got those modes there. They're just labels, guys. Don't obsess too much about where they came from or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is that in working this out, it showed me where the notes were for the key of C major. And if you understand C major, then all you have to do is transfer that information to the other 11 keys. And this will tie in with the L7 grid as well, guys. This is the beauty of all this stuff. It ties in with the L7 grid as well. And what I realised was, well, what if I take battle ends and down goes Charles's battle ends? Oh, left me A out. Down goes Charles's father. Well, really, what I want to do is I want to tally this, make this make sense. So if I take this here, and this is good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the magic number that you need to learn. So I'm going to show you how I got to it. So this B is 7. I'm going to write it in numbers now. 7. Yeah. E is going to be 3. A is going to be 6. D is going to be 2 because it's chord 2. G is chord 5. C is chord 1. F is chord 4. This is where Nashville numbering system comes from. This is your Nashville numbers. If you've heard of the Nashville numbering system, you can think of that in this context as well. Now, I wasn't keen on it starting on the 7. So the magic number that makes sense for me is 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, 3. And what I'm going to do is in between these here, what you want to do is you want to just break it up into phone numbers. I think I explained something in a lesson a while ago about chunking. If you think of your mobile number, just think of your mobile number, and in your head, when you say it, you'll probably split it into 3 chunks. Yeah, you'll have the area code, and then you'll split your number into 2 parts. And that's a useful way of doing that. If you try to remember this as 6251473, one stream, it's going to be tricky. So if we learn it in 2 chunks, 6251473. Now the reason I found that easy is because the 6251 chord sequence, the chord progression, yeah, what I mean is this 6, 2, 5, 1. Chord progression. That's one of the most important chord progressions in the world. This is the chord progression. And when I say in the world, I mean most used. Yes, it's most used. It's used for Ave Maria. It's used by Weezer for Island in the Sun. I reference that all the time. It's used by Gary Moore for Parisian Walkways. It's used, and James mentioned this one, I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. That's an important one. You can't forget that this is all about surviving with Gloria Gaynor. Yes, 6251. And if you carry on, you go through all these chords and you will get this sequence. So 6251473. Right. You guys are all sat in your respective countries, and what I want you to do is I want you to sit there and I want you to say it with me. 6251473. I can't hear you. Let me hear you. 6251473. Send it psychically to me that you are saying it. 6251473. Okay. So what we can do is we can be really agnostic about this, and I'm like that with my mnemonics. You know I use Battle Ends and Down Goes Charles's Father. I'm not fussed if you change that to something extremely rude or something extremely palatable. I don't care, as long as it helps you to remember the sequence. The mnemonic doesn't matter, because mnemonics are a crutch. I do say this, mnemonics are a crutch, but once you understand them and you've learnt them, then you can discard them and you're just left with the information that you wanted in the first place. So that's what mnemonics are all about. So if we come back to this one here, this is a numeric mnemonic. Does that make sense? 6251473. This is the magic number for the pizza shop. And I just think, it's way, if you're going to have a pizza. Well, what we can also do is we can take the Battle Ends and Down Goes Charles's Father there. We take that there, and we can assign these numbers now to the letters here. So 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, and then 4. So hopefully you can see now that goes round in a circle, the magic circle there. And what we have to do is, because this is going round in fourths, what we're going to do is we have to do those compensations like we had here, and in between the F and the B. Let me just get my notes on this. So between the one that we need to do is the compensation that we need to take account for is in between the F and the B there. We add another fret. So when we do that, now what we're going to do is we're going to assign these Roman numeral values here to our Battle Ends and Down Goes Charles's Father here. So let me just start here. This is the one that got it for me. Because like I said, it was 6251. Well, in C major stroke A minor, if you will, that's going to be A minor D minor, G and C. So if we look here, A minor, D, G and C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that information over here. So this is going to be chord 6. This is going to be chord 2. This is going to be chord 5. And this is going to be chord 1. Now, here's where the kink in the tuning comes into it. And I have to do that thing here with this. I have to compensate by going up because of the kink in the tuning. Now here I get chord 4. But that chord 4 there is on an F. Bear with me, guys. F to B, the rule is we have to go up another fret, and that gives me the next number. Look, F is a 4, and then that gives me a 7. Right, so I'm always going to be going 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7. 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7. Hopefully this is making sense. Yeah, I'll do a better version of this, I think, for when we do these as uploads, when we split these up. So 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, 3. Let me just apply that to the guitar and just show you what that looks like. So we've got 6. We're on an E string, so we can have either an E shape or a G shape. And in this instance, I'm going to use an E shape. There's my 6. Here is my 2. And then look here, 6, 2, 5. Because it's a 5, it's going to be a 7th chord. Or I could play it as a normal major like this. Using a D shape there. So 6, 2, 5, 1. Now this, you think, so, oh, what chord can I make out of that? Well, it's on the G string, so it's going to be a G shape. Yeah, so I could play it like this. As an inversion, I could play it like this. So 6, 2, 5, yeah, 1. Do you hear how this is going to be useful for this? 6, 2, 5, 1. Right, okay, so that's part of the puzzle. That's only part of the puzzle because we've only done like one position here. But the cool thing is this ties in with the grid as well. I'll come back to that. I'm getting quite excited now because this is it's really, really a cool thing. Right, okay. So let's just look at this. Look, we could fill this lot in. You could take your time and you could just go, well, that's chord 3. Right, and this is chord 4. It's like Sudoku. It's like Sudoku. You just need some sheets like this to fill out, and while you're on the toilet and you're thinking to yourself, instead of doom scrolling on your phone, take something like this. Sudoku. I don't know what you call it. Yes. Look, so we've gone here. We've got 3 there. We know if we follow battle ends and down goes Charles's father, we can apply this 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, 3 mnemonic to it. Yeah? So look, 3, what's going to happen? We go back to the beginning again. So we get 6. Then we're going to get 2, 5. Follow the kink in the tuning to keep us on track. 6, 2, 5, 1, 4. We're back on the 4. And look, that tallies. If you tie that across over on the thin E string to the thick E string, you can see we get the same thing. What about this here? Chord 5. 5, 1, 4. Look at this. 5, 1, 4. I can find those there. All right. I do get super excited about this because I'm just going to say the word synonym. Yeah? I'm going to say the word synonym. If 5 equals Mixolydian. That's where you start your Mixolydian scale. That's where you come from. That's where you play your scale. That's your chord. It's your scale. It's your arpeggio. It's all the elements of your pitch. They're the same thing. There's nothing different. It's not complicated. It's really not complicated. So we go 5, 1, 4. Well, what's the next in the sequence? 5, 1, 4, 7. Hang on. Remember, when we come to the 7, we've got to add 1. So look, we deal with that when we're crossing over there. So we've got the 7 there, which makes sense. You can see it's a half step away from the 1 that's here. You start to see the relationship of how all these things work here, guys. Yeah, so 7. Then we've got the kink in the tuning, so we have to compensate yet again. So we're going 5, 1, 4, 7, Guess what this is going to be? It's going to be 3, and that's an E because it would make sense because it's E minor. Yeah, and then we're back on track again. So we go 3, and then we get 6 here again. So that ties in all the way across here. This is going to be 7. This is going to be this is going to be 3. This is going to be 6. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 5 because it's just a mimic of that one. So we get this 6, 2, 5, 1, 7, 3 thing going across here. Let me just move up here. 5, 6, 7. This is an important one. This is going to tie in. This is going to tie into everything that we've done in the previous weeks. If you've been with me on the previous sort of 3-4 weeks worth of lessons or the lessons that I did, then you'll know I talked about the L7 grid. Yeah, so this is how this fits in it. Yeah, the way that this works is, and the way I think of it is, there is a compass to the guitar neck. So this way and that way, going across this way from the ceiling to the floor. Then what we have also is from sort of east to west, north to south, east to west. When we look at the L7 grid, we get 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, and then we get 6. Do you remember? So if this ties in, if you know what I'm talking about when I mention the L7 grid, guys, you'll see where it's living. You see, it lives here, but in this instance, it's only living on a string pair. It's living on this string pair here, on the E and the A string. It's living on that one, and you could transfer that to other string pairs. Okay, but the thing is, you need to know where you're coming from. You need to know where you're coming from. I've also talked about something that I call the 7/7 grid. Yeah, so the 7/7 grid. There's 2. This is going to be 3. So I could look at it. I can go chord 2, chord 3, chord 4. Brilliant. But I could also use my magic number. So I've got 7, 3. Brilliant. 7, 3. It's going to be 6 next. Okay. It's all tallying up. 6, 2. Just hopefully you can see this because this pen isn't probably the best sort of writing implement for that. 6, 2, 5, 1. So you see, hopefully you can see how that is going across there. Yeah. But if I was to do the L7 grid, there's the L7 grid. Show you where that is. I can also do the minor. You can think of it as the 7/7 grid. You remember the 7/7 grid? It's on my channel. The 7/7 grid is that one and that one. It looks like 7 and a 7. This is L and that's a 7. That's why I call it the L7 grid. L7 grid, 7/7 grid. Okay. So the thing is, you start to be able to find a way to go all the way through these. Yeah, this is the Rosetta stone. This is the Rosetta stone of the fretboard. Yeah, so I go and so I'm going 6, 2, 5. I know where my 5 is. I know where my other 6 is. You don't want to watch me fill these out, all this lot out. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as we're going to cut this out of this video. And I'm going to do this as an upload in its own right, and I will put a PDF for that in the upload. It'll be in the next few weeks over Christmas. So, hopefully that makes sense. And we'll put some questions up as well, James. And what we can do is, hopefully I can answer some questions. Why are the 4, 5, 6... as to that's just the way they're organized. I mean, if you look at it, you could say that if we played it here, Marcel, we've got really that's G, C, and F. That's chords 1, 4, and 5. It's just as the order of this. It is interval note positions as well, Phil. Yeah, but that's relative to they are relative to the tonic of the key, yeah, to the root note. So the tone of the key tone, the key center. So because we're in C, this here, because the guitar is in C here, this is all related to the key of C. The 1 is going to be C, right? But the cool thing is that what I do is you go, right, okay, so G. Now, if you remember when I talked about the synonym for chords, and I talked about extending triads with a 7th, well, chords 1 and chord 4, and I told you to remember this and say it over and over again, chords 1 and chord 4 are always major 7s, and chord 5 is always a dominant 7th, which is your bluesy 7th chord, yeah? So if I go G, C, F here, then I can go G, that's 5, 5, yeah? 1, 4, yeah? 5, 1, 4. So I've got 5, bluesy chord, 1, it's going to be a major 7, chord 4 is a major 7. So if you play drop tuning, how would the analogy here lend? It bloody well wouldn't do, Greg Roberts, trying to make life difficult for me. Yeah, right? It wouldn't, because what you're doing is essentially you're putting another kink in the tuning when you drop tuning. There is, I do keep meaning to do a kind of a drop D riff masterclass, if you will, as well. It is starting to click, that Captain Burke says. That is really useful middle for that one there, guys. So, 4 years playing guitar, next month playing guitar. Are you trying? No, I know. I'm only having a bit of banter, mate. Would you consider, if you haven't done it already, an ear training module, a book like Rick Beato's done in his bundle? Do you know what? I can only speak from my perspective. So I would only put out what I felt was practical from the over 34 years of teaching guitar now. I think something like 34. Yeah, crikey. Makes a man feel old. You know, I would only put out what I feel is relevant and gonna help. So ear training comes from playing. It comes from playing and just spending time on the instrument, really, you know. And you like the folk of Huddersfield. So does this make sense, guys? Can you just do me a favour and type it in there, 6251473 if you've got it, and I'll just have a sip of water because that penicillin doesn't taste nice and it gives me cotton mouth. 6251473 if you get it. If you get it, ish. Yes. Greg, you might need to look at the previous lessons that I've done in this run up. 6251, Steve. 6251473. It's the pizza shop. Someone says, "Do you want some pizza?" Yeah, I go, "Yeah, okay, man." Where's the pizza shop? Right, okay. So 2514. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, so 251473. Look at that. The weird one is when you play that F to the B. Listen to it. Yes, you can, Will. You can. That's the whole point. Look. So I go like this. I go 6. Yeah. Yes, we can add it to that. Goat's milk after your antibiotic, because you. Thank you. So there's 6, 2, 5. Right, 1 is going to be here, which I said was this. Let's go from the B. This is going to be 7, 3, 6, 2. 7, 3, 6, 2. Yeah. Actually, James has just said something which is a good one. 6. We said 6, 2, 5, 1. Yeah? Can you hear it? Ave Maria. Ave Maria. Yeah, Ave Maria. And we also First I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I couldn't live without my side. Do you hear it? And then what have we got after that? And then the B diminished there. There's the 7. And then we're going to go to the 3. Which doesn't sound quite as good, because we need to make it into an E major, 3 major. That's right. So does it make sense? So hopefully you can hear how that works, and that works its way around all of these chord progressions there. Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you, Marcel, and thanks for past year's lessons and book. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are trotting on here. I know that James is hankering to see a football match at the minute. And I'm going to probably watch as well. So, soccer to you Americans, you American folks, but it's football to us, because you know what? We use our feet to kick the ball. We don't use our hands. Handball is a different thing. Right, hopefully this makes sense. This lot here, guys, this will all be sliced and diced, and it will be put into 3, I think probably 3 different uploads. I'll upload those, and we'll get some handouts as well in the video descriptions that you can download for free. This is my Christmas gift to you. Hope it makes sense. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie. It's not the easiest thing. It's not the easiest thing, learning guitar, you know. But do you know something? If you think about all the hard things that you've ever done in your life, those are the things you're most proud of. I think that the things that are the hardest things that you do, those are the things you're most proud of. And I think, you know, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. There were some other questions in there as well. We'll take notice of some of those questions. And we will be back in with the lives in 2024. I'm contemplating doing something interesting for that. And that might, in the realms of a beginner's live stream for beginners, and we get into strumming and stuff like that, and playing songs, you know, because there's a lot of people who are going to get guitars for Christmas, and I hate the idea of a dusty guitar in a corner that hasn't been picked up because, you know, people got frustrated with not knowing what to do. So that's what it's all about. Thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are wonderful. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for tuning in from James as well. James is here in the chat here. Thank you, James, for doing everything, dude. And we will see you in 2024. And we will have an absolute blast in the chats again. So we'll see you then. Take care. Until next time. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.